Welcome to the September 28th, 2022 meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission. This is a teleconference meeting with commission members, city staff, and members of the public participating remotely. Commissioners present include myself, Vice Chair Jennifer Baskin, Commissioner Mayrin Buyagit. Am I saying it right?
Close, Bunyagit.
Bunyagit. I'm so used to saying Shauna Lee. Commissioner Peter Diepenbrock and Commissioner Kelsey Theriault. Staff present includes Library and Community Services Director Sean Reinhardt, Acting Assistant Community Services Director Rondell Howard, and Management Analyst Ashley Walker. Rondell is also the staff liaison for the commission. Ashley will be helping to facilitate the meeting. Ashley, will you please take a moment and provide instructions to the commission members and members of the public in attendance on how the meeting will proceed?
Members of the commission should keep their cameras on and their microphones off until they're recognized by the chair or vice chair tonight. Commissioners should raise their hand to indicate that they wish to speak. If a member of the public wishes to speak during a public comment period, please notify staff by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. If you're dialing in, you can use *9 to engage the raise hand function. Public comment will be heard in the order received and is limited to 3 minutes in length. When your turn for public comment has arrived, staff will unmute you.
Under public comment, the public may address the commission on any subject not listed on the agenda. Each speaker may address the commission under public comment for a limit of 3 minutes. Please clearly state your name, address, or political jurisdiction in which you live. The commission cannot act on items not listed on the agenda, and therefore the commission cannot respond to non-agenda issues brought up under public comment other than to provide general information. If there are members of the public who are here to comment on the Nelon Park zipline trial period, please be advised that the commission will review the zipline trial period at the October 26th meeting. Although the zipline is not on tonight's agenda, members of the public are welcome to offer comments about it during this general public comment period. Ashley, do we have any public comments?
At this time, if you'd like to make a public comment on any item not on the agenda, please notify staff by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're dialing in, you can use *9 to engage the raise hand function. And at this time, it looks like we have one public comment, and it is Brian Kissel. One moment. All right, Brian, you may address the commission.
Great, thank you, Ashley. And Jennifer, I'm just following up in your comment about the Parks and Recreation survey on park services. And I understand there's a portion of that survey that was focused on the needs of the pickleball community. And I understand from an email exchange with Rondell that while some of the results might be discussed today from the survey overall, as you alluded to, any specific action items for pickleball court capacity won't happen until the October meeting. But I'm just wondering, there are a number of folks on the call from the pickleball community wondering what portion of the survey is going to be discussed today, and if the results of the survey, not necessarily what actions will be taken, but if the results of the survey are going to be discussed tonight.
Through the vice chair, I could just answer that. Tonight's agenda item E3, review results of recreation and community program survey, is when the survey results will be reviewed. And so either during this public comment period or wait until that item would be the appropriate time to talk about the pickleball elements of that survey.
Thank you for clarifying that. Do we have any other public comments?
At this time, we do not have any other public comments.
Okay, so at this time, we will be, one thing I am just looking here because I am getting, okay, we have our minutes further down the agenda item. So, okay, thank you. So at this time, we're going to look at the item number D, presentations, proclamations. We will begin tonight with a presentation on updates about the Park and Recreation Registration Management Software Project. Management Analyst Ashley Walker will make the presentation and answer any questions. Handing it over to you.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen here. Sorry, having some screen share issues. One moment.
Ashley, I have the presentation open on my computer. Would it be helpful if I were to just share it from my computer? Oh, you're muted, so I can't hear you. Oh, you got it. Okay, great.
Are you able to see it now?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Sorry about that. It kept adding some extra slides there, and that was not what I was needing. So the Explore Recreation software, this is to provide an update on our recreation registration software that we've been working on implementing. So I thought for this demonstration, we could go over what our current user experience looks like, and then move on to some of the improvements that the community might expect with the new software. So one of the things that we have built out pretty well so far is the experience of booking a room facility. So if you wanted to just book the Cypress room as a meeting room, so we'll be using that as an example. So currently, if you were to go on our website and type in facility reservation, you would get this page here that says online facility reservations. And I'll just play this here. If you were to click on that and scroll down to book a meeting room, and choose the Cypress room, you could see that your journey is going to pretty much stop here. You can look at our facility rental document in PDF, which I'll show you in a moment. You can look at a parking map of our facility. You can look at our rental insurance requirements, and you can look at a map of the room. You can also get some description basics here and a photo of the room. But really, there's not much more you can do there. And so you can see also that the format is a little bit outdated. It really doesn't have like a fresh modern look. And then if you were to click on any of those links, it would just take you to a PDF document. And so ultimately, the reservation process for this is that you don't book a facility online. You actually just call a staff member, which you can see up here. It says contact facilities for further information. And so that's what a current user experience would look like. So some of the issues with the new software that we needed to address were the limited or no ability to reserve online, a user being forced to call a staff member to achieve something that they should be able to do online, contracts being PDF attachments with no digital signature abilities, And I don't know if you caught it, but there were some inconsistencies in the descriptions and the formatting. So some locations having photos where you can view what it is that you're trying to rent, and some locations just being like a lengthy description of cost and how many weeks you have to book something for. It's not necessarily intuitive to navigate, and we feel that it certainly doesn't meet our community's expectations as users. So City Council adopted the IT Master Plan, which called for a new registration system to address those issues. On March 8th of 2022, City Council authorized Explore Recreation, which was previously known as Perfect Mind, but there was a merger, as the new registration system. So staff has been working to create a new experience for users and community members with the Explore software. With the new software, we'd like people to have the ability to reserve courses, activities, and facilities online whenever possible. Not every circumstance will allow that, but we definitely want to expand that ability for everybody. A user should be able to book certain facilities without contacting staff. Contracts are a more interactive experience, so rather than just a PDF, which you can't sign, the idea was to make it more of a questionnaire. So just taking the place of having to have a staff member read everything out to you. It's just a questionnaire. Here's all the things you'll need to do to rent the facility. A little bit more educational there. Descriptions will be more consistent. Photographs will be updated. Maps will be updated. And we're hoping to get something, well, we know we'll get something that is going to have a user experience that's much more aligned with the community's expectations. So we're going to do a demo of what booking that same Cypress room would look like now. This demo is a test site. It's not live yet, and it's certainly not the final product. So if you notice a few things that are a little rough around the edges, those are probably things that we're discussing, working on, and how we can fix them. So this example is right after I created a brand new account. It's my Ashley test account, and I'm just going to walk through renting that facility. So you just will click up here. You can choose the service that you want. So right now we're going to choose room bookings, but you'll also have the ability to filter out what you're looking for by location. So maybe you don't want to just book a location at any facility. You want to just book the ones that are closest to your home. So you'll have the ability to use this drop-down box here to choose your closest facility. For service, if you're looking for something more along the lines of childcare courses and you don't really care about anything else, you just want to look at childcare, you'll have the ability to filter that out. Also, if there's a particular day of the week that works for you and you only want to see classes for that day of the week, that's something you should be able to do too. So we're moving into room bookings. And you can see that the descriptions are still in progress, photography still in progress. In fact, this is an old photo of Cypress Room that'll be updated. But it's a much more modern looking experience, and more, when it's more built out, all of the rooms will have lengthier descriptions that'll provide the user with more information before they make a selection on what they want to rent. So here we're just doing a mock scenario where we're renting the room for 3 hours for 20 people. Our staff needs at least 2 weeks to arrange the booking of a facility. So for 2 weeks, you'll see unavailability here. Prices will be listed on the side, hours available on the side. And then you'll just select whatever time you want to book for, and it'll choose the next 3 hours for you. Click reserve at the bottom. And then this is the questionnaire experience that we're hoping is going to take the place of that sort of outdated PDF form. So instead of just reading through a form and signing in person and handing it over to a staff member, what you're going to do is go through the questionnaire. Are you 18 years or older? What type of event are you looking to host? Liability insurance, which we always require, and cleanup requirements, that's all going to be addressed in the questionnaire. And for each different type of service, so this service is a facility rental, but for each different type of service, we can customize these questionnaires and ask different questions. So if it's a dance class and we need to ask questions about that, you know, are you physically fit enough to participate in this dance class? Yes, for example. Then those questions can be there. And it does save your answers. So the times I've gone in and tested it, it's saved all my selections. And you can see here we're booking at the non-resident rate. So there will be a resident rate and non-residential. And then this is where you could add things on. So if you wanted to add on, I think right now all we're adding for facilities are tables and chairs for rent for the outdoor spaces. You could put on as many of those as you'd like to rent. Oops, sorry. I have a light monitor in here. There we go. And then this is where we complete our point of sale. And we're just going to be able to check out here right now. So on this room, because it's a smaller room, people can pay the full amount. On a larger room, it would be something where you could pay a deposit up front and then later on go in and pay the remainder if you wanted to. Not everybody wants to make that full payment up front. But these are the kinds of things that the Explorer software allows us to do online that we weren't able to do before. So now the user gets a copy of their contract that they just agreed to with all those boxes that they checked. And this is also emailed to the user. This is going to get cleaned up a bit, but essentially this is what it will look like. They can print it if they want. And so you can see that we've come quite a ways from our previous experience, but obviously we still have a ways to go as well as far as what we're doing to finish implementing this. So some of the things we've already accomplished, which were major milestones, were entering general ledger codes, fees across all departments for all the services, getting all the fee information together, configuring staff permissions for different permissions level from all across the different units within this department, gathering all the locations. So we have the gymnasium, gymnastics, Arriaga Family, rec center, and then parks, fields, all of those rentals needed to be added. So those are some of the things that are either completed or very near to completion. Contracts, you saw that we have those entered, and services, which would be like the room rentals, facility, athletic field rentals, things like that. Those are services. And then payment plans for childcare. Things that we're still working on are the facility amenity specific. So you saw that some of those are filled out and some of those aren't. We're hoping to have those done by the end of next week. And then finalizing the facility rental agreements for all of the different types of facilities. We're hoping also to have that done by the end of the month. User experience testing has already begun. So having somebody go in as if they were a citizen, try all the different things that a citizen might want to do, and then make notes about how that experience was and what we need to fix before we even attempt to go live. Activities and courses will be added. I think we're kind of waiting for the right time, closer to our live date, to make sure that the activities and courses that we enter will be relevant. And then we have some data transfer to consider. So supporting the seniors as they transfer their accounts, that's an area of concern for us. We want to make sure that they're able to get their accounts transferred over. And we don't know exactly how we're going to support that, but there is conversation around making sure that they do feel supported and that everybody does get their account transferred over. Current facility rentals that are already on the books, we need to make sure we get those transferred as well, and also account credits. Photos and maps, we plan to have professional photos taken and added to the new website. So that's something that we're waiting on. And then we're also developing a system for automatic confirmation of residency. So we'd like it to be that users who live in Menlo Park can simply enter their address and the system knows that that is a valid Menlo Park address. And the trouble that we are trying to figure out a solution for, which I'm hopeful that we will, is the issue of unincorporated Menlo Park addresses. So also in progress and as a next step is user training. So staff have already undergone over 100 hours of user training during configuration sessions. And the next steps for training will be power user training. So expanding the group of users from just the users who are helping configure Explore to the power users, the people who are going to be using Explore the most. And after that, there will be a post-training follow-up period where they can ask any questions that came up for them. And then once we move past that, the rest of staff will be trained. So all of customer service and all of frontline staff. After that, we'll move to user acceptance testing. So user acceptance testing ensures that the end users accept a software's functionality before it goes live to the public. Staff members from different divisions and levels will attempt to use the software for realistic business scenarios. Each attempt will receive a pass-fail rating. Failed items will be resolved with retraining or reconfiguration, and in total, staff will perform and test approximately 200 tests. And my computer just went to sleep. Sorry about that. Oops. Go back. I also have some. Let's see. A tentative timeline to share. There we go. Almost there. So our tentative timeline, we would really like to go live in late February, early March. And this is just kind of where we're at now. Obviously, we know that things could change with the holiday. If people are off or scheduling becomes difficult, then we may have to adjust this a little bit. But as it stands, this is our tentative timeline for the moment. And examples to explore. So these are other cities that are using Explore Recreation already. And if anybody wants to take a look at them, people have done a lot of different things with the appearance of their recreation programs. So we'll have to have a conversation, staff will have to have a conversation at a later date as far as what the Menlo Park appearance should look and feel like for the community. And with that, I will thank you all for listening and being patient and turn it over to you all for questions if you have any.
Thank you very much, Ashley. Very exciting. I know for one who has used your online system and tried to reserve and do things, this is a very welcome update and change. I will open it up to, at this point, any public comments.
At this time, if you'd like to make a public comment on if you'd like to make a public comment on this item, please notify staff by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're dialing in, you can use *9 to engage the raise hand function. And I'll give everybody a moment. I do not see any raised hands.
Great, thank you. And at this point, do any of the commissioners have any questions or clarifying items or any comments they want to give to staff and Ashley? Well, I think everyone is very excited on the timeline, and I do not believe, I think this is something that has already been not requiring any sort of vote or anything of the sort, just kind of an update and something that we could comment on as an item, correct?
That is correct.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I know we're all very excited to use it, and it's very timely given all the reopenings and just the increase in offerings the city will be having in the coming months. So we really appreciate it. Thank you.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.
So moving on to the next item, next, Library and Community Services Director Sean Reinhardt will give a presentation on commemorative park amenities.
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair Baskin. So here on the screen, we'll have a brief presentation about commemorative park amenities, and would welcome the Commission's feedback, comments, as well as from the general public. So commemorative park amenities refers to plaques or other memorials that are placed in parks, typically to honor deceased individuals. Common locations for these will be on park benches or maybe stones that have a plaque embedded in them, sometimes trees. The city's current and past practice for these amenities is that interested parties request one. They are encouraged to donate the cost of installing said memorial, which currently it's approximately $5,000 to install a memorial bench with a commemorative plaque. So no small amount. Public Works in the past has been the department that coordinated directly with the requesting party about the location, the verbiage, the type, and the cost of the memorial. The memorials are always kind of just request driven. You just wait for people to request them, and they're evaluated on a case-by-case basis. So the current status there has some policy gaps, if you will, that we're working on a policy to address. One is that there's no written criteria in place for evaluating memorial requests that come in. There's no written policy for repairing, replacing, or removing memorials. There's no comprehensive written inventory of the memorials at this time, although staff is already working on one. There's no policy in place to define the quantity of memorials in a given park or the types of memorials that a given park should have. There's no provision for memorial requests where the requester lacks the financial resources to donate the cost of that installation. And there currently is no public transparency into the process for creating and installing memorials in public spaces. They just kind of show up one day and no process around that really. So staff, to address these gaps, staff has developed some proposed criteria, looking at what other organizations have done and talking to various folks internally, as well as interested parties such as the Parks and Recreation Commission as of tonight, to do a few things and create some proposed criteria, mainly to prioritize memorials that meet the criteria shown here on the screen, which is that the honoree has been deceased at least 1 year at the time of the request, and that the honoree has had some kind of impact to the Menlo Park community. For example, they served on an elected body or an appointed body like commission in Menlo Park. They'd made significant volunteer contributions to the community, a longtime employee of the city of Menlo Park, was a recognized Menlo Park community leader, contributed meaningfully to the civic health and progress of Menlo Park, or made other notable contributions to the community above and beyond the ordinary. So those are some proposed criteria we'd love to hear some feedback and your thoughts on. Also a proposed process. The proposal here is to require one or more of the following steps to happen prior to installing a commemorative park amenity. One would be a city council proclamation in memory of the departed individual that also includes direction to install a memorial in their memory. Another option would be a recommendation by a majority of the Parks and Recreation Commission to install a memorial to the departed individual. Because there's a cost associated with that, that would still remain subject to approval by the city council, the city manager, probably the latter in most situations, given the cost. And then a third would be a formal written request or application that's submitted to and approved by the city manager or their designee. Just to put some process around that. I'm also just looking at repair and maintenance. Our recommendation here is for this policy that's being developed is that the city will maintain any commemorative amenity until such a time as it deteriorates beyond its usable lifespan or is damaged beyond reasonable repair. You know, they do kind of wear out over time. And so this is the proposal for what to do when that time comes. And that the city reserves the right to remove any memorial that has been evaluated for condition and other things and deemed to be beyond reasonable repair. So the city can remove them. I'm just going to make that explicit in the policy. And then that once removed, the city will not replace the amenity unless the approval process happens again. Just to make sure that there's transparency into that. That the city shall maintain an accurate inventory of all the memorials that are on city property and shall evaluate their condition at least every 4 years, meaning the inventory is marked up and will devise a scale for the condition that they're in and update that every 4 years at least. And that in the event an amenity is removed, for condition or for other reasons, that the honoree's family can take possession of it. So that's the summary of a proposal here for a policy. And then related to the cost of installation, the proposal is that community members are welcome and encouraged to donate toward the cost of installing a memorial once it's approved, however not required. That memorials made by the proclamation of the city council would be installed at the city's expense, although again, the donations are always welcomed. And then selection and placement of commemorative amenities shall not be influenced by the inability or ability of the requesting party to financially contribute. So just to remove that as a criteria or a consideration. And here's a lovely view of Sharon Park, which features a few dozen memorial plaques at this point in time. And with that, we're happy to discuss, answer any questions, and would love to hear their commission's feedback.
Thank you for the presentation, Sean. At this moment, do we have any public comment, Ashley?
At this time, if you'd like to make public comment on this item, notify staff by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're dialing in, you can use *9 to engage the raise hand function. And there are no raised hands.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions for Community Services and Library Director, or any comments on the presentation? I have one. This might predate some members of the commission. I know in the past, people have requested memorials. And is there, and I believe it was Bill Halleck that had kind of worked with them. I guess a couple of questions. Is there now, who would be kind of taking ownership of that one? And two, is there any sort of kind of waiting list with regards to memorials?
Yeah, I'll answer those questions. Those are both great questions. So Mr. Halleck is the park supervisor for the city and the Public Works Department. We would envision that Bill would remain involved, especially in the process of identifying the location and getting the installation handled. So what we're really discussing at this point is a little bit more just the policy behind, selecting and identifying the memorials, and then once that's kind of completed, and that process would be handled mostly by the Library and Community Services Department, and in some cases the Parks and Recreation Commission, as outlined in this process. So there would be that partnership. And then related to a waiting list, there are I think somewhere upwards of 8 or 9 requests that are kind of in the hopper that have been kind of on hold pending the development of the policy. So we've kind of taken names, made a note, and that we're going to get back to those folks once a policy's been established.
Thank you. That's just helpful. I think it's been something that's been in conversation with various people, even organizations that have wanted to do things around Menlo Park, wonder if there's any type of waiting list or what the process is. So this is really helpful. Well, thank you very much for the update. We are now moving on to regular business. Under regular business, the Parks and Recreation Commission considers recommendations from city staff on policy matters or administrative actions that require the Parks and Recreation Commission approval. So the first item is approving the minutes for the regular meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission of August 24th, 2022. Ashley, do we have any public comments on this item?
At this time, if you'd like to make a public comment on this item, please notify staff by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're dialing in, please use the *9. Please use *9 to engage the raise hand function. I need to get that light fixed.
Thank you. And I had a chance to review the minutes and they looked good to me. Do any commissioners have any edits or comments on the minutes?
No.
Thank you. And at this point, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the August 24th, 2022 Parks and Recreation Commission meeting?
I vote to approve them.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mayorinn. And I will leave it to staff to call the vote.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting minutes from the August 24th, 2022 Commission meeting. Vice Chair Baskin, how do you vote?
Yes.
And let's see, missing 2 people. And Commissioner Bunyagit.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Commissioner Diepenbrock.
Yes.
And Commissioner Theriot.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes.
Thank you. So I have a request for city staff on the next item because this is near and dear to my heart. I would ask that, given we have slightly less than half the commission present and people who have yet to serve a role, would love to see if we could push this item to a future meeting where more commissioners are present.
Absolutely. We certainly can continue this item until next month, when hopefully there are more commissioners present.
That would be great. And just my reasoning behind it is I think it would be really beneficial for all or most of the commissioners to have this be presented and have a chance for us to kind of discuss this and set the runway for the process. So appreciate it. Thank you very much, Sean. The next item is reviewing the results of the Recreation and Community Program Survey. Assistant Community Services Director Rondell Howard will introduce this next item, a review of the Recreation and Community Program Survey results. Very excited to hear about this. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner Baskin. So let me just share my screen. Let's see
They're doing the survey now.
Are you guys able to see that?
Yes,
Yes.
we're looking at a
Yes.
slide that kind of shows one of the renderings of the facility.
Is okay. So here we have, as we go over these slides, this picture here is just kind of one of the areas that'll be kind of the back area. This is if you were to stand in front of this where these patrons are. Behind them, or if you would to turn to face the screen, you'll be looking at Kelly Field. So this is like right behind the library area. We have pictures and we've done a few tours of this, but this is kind of the back area of the new facility. So survey results that we have here are our resident survey recreation of all recreation and community programs. Developed with input from the MPCC subcommittee and working groups, Park and Recs Commission, Library Commission, as well as City Council. So all those groups were able to give us some input when putting this together. The survey actually opened June 13th and it closed on August 10th. It was distributed in paper as well as electronic format, and then also in English and Spanish. We've received over 900 respondents with the survey, which was huge. And the complete survey results are always attached and are attached to this this agenda as well. So you can get the rest of the survey from there. If there's parts of the survey that you didn't see on this short presentation. So here, we'll just go through this. And so this here, one of the questions that we had was, what neighborhood in Menlo Park do you live in? And here the survey, it pretty much shows a good distribution across the city from every neighborhood within the city of Menlo Park, from Bellhaven to Linfield Oaks, all around. So we've got a pretty good range of communities within the city responding to this to the survey. The next one is, how long did you live in Menlo Park? And here's a good mix of longtime residents with our newer residents. As you can see, we have a large percentage of those that's been living within the city 20 plus years. We also have a nice amount of those that's been living here 6 to 10 years. It's just kind of spread throughout. So a real good mixture of those who have been longtime residents and those that are newly residents within the city taking the survey. So again, sorry, just to go back, this is kind of our outdoor terrace area around the senior side. This just kind of displays our outside, what it would look like in our evening time, like a fall period like now, right? So some outside seating, nice lighting, things of that nature. So moving forward, we've another question that we asked for our residents to be surveyed on is, how important are the following community programs and classes? And before, these questions were asked and rated on as with under 3 criteria: not important, somewhat important, or very important. And those responses were all numbered 1, 2, or 3. And then they were all averaged out to kind of create these charts. So if anything that's on the 2 line is basically our midpoint. And so that would equate to somewhat important. Anything rating over 2.0 is more important to our survey takers. And then anything lower than the 2.0 is less important. And so here you just have some reviews of some topics that the community programs and classes are, what's important to maybe what's least important. So music and performing arts, health and wellness, in the fitness center, weight resistant. Those are a few of the items that kind of kind of rank on the higher side, as well as a host of others as well. Our next slide here is for community programs and classes, how important are the following items? And our survey takers here rated the needs of Menlo Park residents more important than attracting non-residents to generate higher fees. So super important for our residents to kind of understand, or that they understand that, you know, we don't really want to attract too much as far as non-residents just to generate fees. Where they're looking for something that's programmed towards the residents. So that's a pretty good note. A lot of times fee generating is huge on a lot of people's mind, but it's good to see that our city wants to see just more than generating fees. Here, how important are the following athletic programs? So a lot of our surveys, a lot of our survey takers kind of rated our casual drop-in play way more important than organized league play. So a lot of families want to be able to stop and drop off and go play somewhere rather than seeing a lot of organized programs out there. So that's another important topic for us to kind of look into. Also, they ranked our youth athletic programs a little bit more important than our adult programs, or our adult ones that's out there. So I'm sure that can go back and forth, but a lot of the space, I believe a lot of our residents would like to see for our youth athletic programs more than adult programs. Our next one here, for athletic programs, how important are the following items? And again, here, the need of the Menlo Park residents are far more important than primarily, again, attracting non-residents to generate fees. It's kind of a common thread or a common theme throughout the survey that we were seeing. Going to our next slide, this one here is for the city library and then information resources, how important are the following items? And one of the things to take a look here is that a lot of these items, all of the items here, scored above 2.0. So which is really something to look into. But at the same time, some of the things that rated really high in importance would be something such as our homework for our teens, job skills, job seeker, resources, and healthcare navigation. Probably something for our seniors, it seems like, but those were the ones that kind of rated on the higher side. But one of the important things in this area is to kind of look at is for that everything is rated over 2.0, and it's extremely important to our residents that we look for these type of programming and ideas so we can better serve our community. This here is just kind of if looking at this is our pool area. And then looking out these windows, one is a movement class, and then the other window will be like our workout class or our fitness center. So you'll be able to get this great view of the pool within this movement studio that'll be here, as well as a workout facility as well. That was once like at Oneida Harris, but way more advanced, a little bit bigger and better equipment. So that's kind of what we got right there. And then I'll let Sean go ahead and finish the rest of the survey from what we have.
Oh, thanks, Rondell, for that great presentation. Just to kind of summarize, and we're seeking any additional feedback from the commission or through public comment related to some programming considerations that the survey kind of suggests. Next slide, please. So just in no particular order, but a few of the considerations that really kind of stood out for staff were to prioritize the program elements that survey respondents rated with high importance. It seems pretty obvious, but just want to state the obvious here that, you know, we're kind of looking to those things that were really rated highly, the things that we want to prioritize. Also, we want to look at those programs that we're not currently offering on a regular basis, but in the survey, folks rated with high importance. And as Rondell just mentioned on the previous slide here, homework help for children and teens, job skills, job readiness, resources, food insecurity, advice and support, healthcare navigation and support. Those are things that we don't currently offer on a regular basis, but that rated really high in importance. So those are the kind of things we're looking at when it comes to creating new programs that we want to put some focus there. Next slide. Some other things that the survey could indicate is a desire to prioritize programs and classes that are free or have discounted fees for Menlo Park residents. So some interest in that, rated pretty important, in fact, very important throughout the survey, and to deprioritize programs that primarily exist to attract participants from outside Menlo Park, or deprioritize programs as well that survey respondents rated with low relative importance. Also to prioritize casual and drop-in plays for children and families, especially Menlo Park residents. We saw that as a recurring theme, that casual and drop-in, folks are rating that as pretty important. And aquatics wasn't covered in this survey because that's being kind of covered on a separate track, as you know, including through the request for proposals process that's coming up. Next slide, please. And so next steps here are to continue to work with stakeholders, including the Parks and Recreation Commission and the MPCC subcommittee and that working group of Bellhaven residents that works with the subcommittee and others to develop the MPCC program planning. So we intend to be working with the commission pretty much every month on this topic for the next few months as we dive deeper into the details. Obviously incorporate that input into the process, culminating in a preliminary staffing and program plan with various options going to the City Council in tentatively January or February of 2023. Beautiful shot of the front of the facility. Can't wait to get in there. And I think that's the last informational slide. And at this point, we're very much open to and welcome comments from the commission, from the public, as we kickstart this really exciting process of the programming plan.
Thank you very much, Sean. This was very informative. I love seeing the results of our survey. I love that they came from a wide, diverse view of ages and locations and interests. So at this point, Ashley, we're going to open it up. Is there any public comment on this item?
At this time, if you'd like to make a public comment, please notify staff by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're dialing in, you can use the *9 function to engage the raise hand feature. And we do have one public comment from Brian Kissel. Okay, Brian, you may address staff.
Yeah, thanks. Back again. So first of all, thanks so much for all the Parks and Recreation Commission and the Parks and Recreation Department do for our city. It's wonderful and amazing, and I think we all appreciate it. I also am very appreciative of the fact that we did do the survey to get statistical data on where the areas are that our citizens are interested in more or better services. What I am not clear on, I appreciate the summary that was presented, but kind of where the bar was about what raises to the level of significant summaries. So I completely understand the issue about prioritizing the needs of residents versus non-residents. The survey result also indicated that drop-in services for family and children are the one and number 2 priorities. But the number 3 priority on this was pickleball. And I don't see that outlined as one of the high priority findings from the survey. And if you look at the survey, in addition to it being the 3rd most important or most area of most interest, also on this question number 4, how do you typically use or visit these locations after access to the parks? The 2nd most access was for pickleball and tennis, with 20% of the population doing it more than once a week. And then when you look at the 2 questions about the open-ended questions about what additional services and capabilities the community would like, so that's question 7 and question 14, roughly 25% of question 7 was all about pickleball, and 47% of question 14 was all about pickleball. So, I know I'm biased because I've been championing this cause, but the data, in my mind, clearly indicates that pickleball is a high priority for the community based on the statistical results from the survey. And I would like to see this at a summary level being one of the high priority items, in addition to what's been outlined already. So that's just my input. Thank you.
Thank you,
Brian.
Brian, for your comments.
And we have one more public comment from Pierre Sintra.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes. I live in Timothy Lane in the suburban park area, and I just want to echo Brian's comments regarding pickleball. I joined this meeting because of pickleball, and it's a little bit disappointing to see that since our last meeting, the last meeting we attended, nothing has happened in that area. That's it.
Thank you. At this time, if there's no further public comment, and there are no more raised hands.
So I'd like to open it up to the commission if there are any comments or questions on the survey results. I think we'll be discussing this on our agenda item, but if maybe Rondell or Sean, you recall, just since we do have members of the community present and the comments were raised about pickleball, I believe we do have it either on a future agenda item or something coming up within the year. Within this year. Sorry.
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair Baskin. Actually, later in the agenda, item F2 is the Parks and Recreation Commission tentative agenda calendar under information items. And in that calendar, you'll note that, and members of the public can see this in the packet, that the October 26th meeting is tentatively calendared for a pickleball update, particularly like about the pilot program and also responding to, like the comments that we are hearing tonight and also that were written in the survey. So definitely a deeper dive into pickleball at the October meeting.
So what's the plan to do with the results from this survey? Are we going to discuss all the results now and get a game plan, or what are we going to do?
Yeah, great question. So the results of the survey are one of many inputs to first and foremost formulate the staffing and operations plan for the new Menlo Park Community Campus facility. That was sort of the impetus behind doing the survey in the first place. It's expanded to capture a wide range of programs while we're asking people questions, but that's first and foremost. So the Parks and Recreation Commission over the next few months, as it pertains to the survey, the focus again is to develop on what kind of programs will be offered in the new facility, how will they be prioritized, residents, non-residents, fees, low fees, discounts, or, drop-in versus organized, and how to balance all of that, not one at the expense of the other, but finding the right balance. But then to the extent that the survey also informs other recreation and cultural activities, such as pickleball, for example, we certainly will want to look to the survey results to give us some additional information and guidance. So I hope that helps answer your question.
Sure.
Yeah, I kind of echo Peter's thoughts here. I think, the voices that the commission has heard, kind of loud and clear have been from pickleball. and also from the survey results, and people have written in about this. So they haven't attended, but they've written in about gymnastics, youth recreational gymnastics. I think we do owe it as a service to people who have, kind of come forward and had an interest to really prioritize these. I appreciate that they are also high up on the survey. So there's all signs are pointing to these are priorities. Well, we do have, any other comments on this or thoughts before we can kind of move on? I think that this might tie into the next couple of items. We have the Parks and Recreation Commission work plan update. And so this first information item is the work plan update, where Library and Services Director Sean Reinhardt will introduce this. And following that, we also have the agenda.
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair. I don't have a presentation for this item because it's pretty straightforward, which is that the City Council did review the PRC's work plan on September 20. They did approve it. However, they requested one addition to be made to the work plan. That's outlined in the report, and I'll just read it off here, which is to develop recommendations for city-hosted community events. So we'll want to add that to the tentative agenda at some point in the future here to follow up on that goal. But that's the one change that the City Council made, just reporting to the Commission that happened.
Thank you, Sean. Is there any public comment on this item?
At this time, if you'd like to make a public comment, please notify staff by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're dialing in, you can use *9 to engage the raise hand function. And there are no public comments at this time.
Thank you, Ashley. And does the Commission have any questions or comments on this item? Well, then we will move on to the Parks and Recreation Commission tentative agenda. I see here we have, so we will be pushing forward the chair and vice chair rotation guidelines. We did not review that this meeting, so I suggest we push that to October. Thank you very much, actively doing that. And we do have our pickleball update. And Peter, I'd love to hear your comments on this. I do believe there are, or rather, sorry, first, Sean, I do believe that there were from a previous meeting, certain requests, some of them, if my mind is working properly here, about more permanent setup, some other features that had been requested by the Commission and some community members. And will we be able to have an update on those sort of like hard, concrete items and requests?
Yes, I believe that is the intent with this item. I was trying to get the bullet points to they weren't, but follow up on past info requests. I won't list them here, but yes, we do have them written.
Okay. Yeah, I think it'd be fruitful. I'm sure it's in a previous minutes or agenda. What was discussed, what comments, what things that we were going to look into for them and see if those could be done. Yeah, so seeing up ahead here too, we reviewed the athletic field use update, which is great. We wanted to reconvene with the Youth Advisory Committee report. It's been a while since we've met with them. I think it's really important that we kind of stay connected with them. And then some other, time-wise, gymnastics in November and December, that's always a meeting. We're not sure how well attended that is, given it's right around the holidays, but we have a couple of items there. Really what I'd love the Commission to take a look at, and just us to see if we're missing anything here, is any of the unscheduled future items. We have recommendations for community events, inclusion programs and classes updates, and some policy reviews. So I think first I will, unless staff has any other additions to this, I'll open it up to public comment.
Thank you, Vice Chair Bastian. I do have a couple of additions to recommend. One is about the Nealon Park zip line.
Yes.
So I think we had determined to follow up on that in October. So if I may, I think I'll just add that to the agenda. As you know, the zip line was put back in service recently, and so we want to, it's kind of a trial period, and we'd like to report back next month.
Mhm.
Also, the November meeting and the December meeting fall pretty much within holiday weeks. November 23rd is the day before Thanksgiving, and December 28th is obviously the week between Christmas and New Year's. So we'd like to recommend for the commission to move the meeting. So for example, in November, the following Wednesday is November 30th, completely free and clear from the Thanksgiving week. And so make a recommendation to move that meeting to November. And then as far as December, I think that might be a meeting that the commission may determine should be canceled or maybe find a different date. The difficulty there is that even the week prior to December 28th, it's December 21st. It's still pretty close to, I think a lot of people tend to be out of town or doing other things. So you might want to consider canceling that meeting. It does take a vote of the commission to change the date of the meeting. So there's time to do that next month, but we did want to kind of surface that now. And if that sounds like something the commission wants to consider next month, we can add that to next month's agenda, changing the dates of those meetings, that is.
Absolutely. And what kind of vote would that require? Would we have enough people right now if we wanted to vote to change that?
My understanding is that typically it would need to be on an agendized item. Tonight,
see.
the agenda calendar is an agendized item.
Mhm.
However, probably better to give it its own separate line on the agenda just for maximum transparency. So I would
Thank you
recommend
for the
doing it in October.
clarification.
Yeah.
That sounds great. So would love to then offer up let's be specific. Yeah, moving the November 23rd meeting back to November 30th. So changing the dates, and we can even put a recommendation November 30th. And I agree with you with December meetings. It's the date of that falls. Possibly canceling that one. It just falls in a place where we likely don't have enough people, given school holidays and how close it is to here. And that may also, just knowing ahead that we're likely going to, that we're looking to vote to cancel the December meeting might help us really fill November items with things that we want to accomplish and discuss before the end of the year. So thank you for those additions. Ashley, is there any public comments on this item?
At this time, if you'd like to make a public comment, please notify staff by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're dialing in, you can use *9 to engage the raise hand function. And there are no public comments on this item.
Are there any comments or questions from the commission that they'd like to add? Any other topics? I have one I think is an informational item. I don't know if it deserves its own line item, or maybe this is something that when the development comes around, I'd love to hear. I know that the city council did look at, and I don't know the results of this, of I know it's no longer called the Bicycle Commission. It's called the Complete Streets Commission, I believe. Their sort of recommendations around a bike safety path down Middle Avenue and possibly sort of around and through park areas and sort of the new El Camino development. So just an ask here is that if there is any sort of concrete items or that come up or changes especially since they are kind of around the park and recreational areas, that they're included in either an agendized item or a informational item.
It's at the bottom of the screen. Does that kind of capture it in like bullet format?
Absolutely.
Great.
Thank you. So at this time, we can move on to commissioner reports. I think this is also something maybe we'll love to include in sort of the expectations and processes and procedures of the commission. I don't think we had any formal commissioner named to give a report this month.
Jennifer, one last comment on that
Oh,
last.
sure.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just think that it's important to note, and I don't know if it's going to be you, Jennifer, or Mark's going to be the one to do it, but given what happened, in January, February with lots of people attending, I'm anticipating it'll be the same in October. I just think it's important that the pickleball agenda item go as early in the meeting as possible, so 900 members don't have to wait around for hours on end to address the subject. So
Great call out. Great call out. That's a good recommendation.
yeah. Okay, thanks.
Great. I've made a note about that on the tentative agenda there.
Thanks, Sean.
I meant the right place.
Mhm.
Place, not please as well. Please place. Okay.
And
got it.
I think also, Peter, if you'd like to join during the, sort of a agenda planning, or if there's
Yeah, I would
something
love to.
we,
I would love to.
we could look at
Mm.
ahead of the meeting, to see kind of what we have prepared here, so that this way, if we have, it gives us a week or two time to tweak it ahead of the meeting and make sure we're doing things correctly.
Happy to help. Absolutely. Great idea. Yep. Yep.
Great. So again, as I was mentioning, there's no formal commissioner who had suggested that they wanted to speak, but if anyone else had any comments they wanted to make, generally commissioner reports are reporting back on something that is related to the commission. Maybe you attended a summer concert, maybe you have comments from community members, or you've attended something and would like to speak about it.
I'll just make a quick comment. I do appreciate the emails that are sent to us that let us know about the different opportunities for us to attend different activities that are going on. So I went to the flood park tours that they were doing a while back, and that was just incredibly informational and impressive. I mean, they had the one I went to, they had, I want to say, 3 different separate tours of about 10 to 15 people in each group that walked around the entire park, and they basically just explained everything they're doing, their thought processes, and the timeline. And I mean, it was very, very educational. And I will say this, I mean, the amount of stuff that they have to deal with, I mean, I can tell you that a majority of the conversation was about Menlo Park community members discussing, which trees have to stay and which, can go. And I mean, the amount of feedback they get from the community and where things are situated in the park, depending on noise and who's living where. And I mean, it's going to be very, very, and a very impressive park when they're done. It's still going to be a couple of years away, but no, I appreciate that information, and I definitely learned a lot, and very excited about Flood Park for sure.
Thank you for sharing, Peter. Mayren?
I just wanted to say that I visited with my children last weekend, the resource fair in Bellhaven, and it looked very well attended. It had a really larger variety of, it exceeded my expectations of how many vendors were out, and different community services were there to give information in various diverse capacities, and having it alongside, I think there was also a flu or COVID vaccine clinic, and it was near the library, so it was just really well located with all the information. And the Bellhaven preschool was there to also give out information to get new customers, as you say. Yeah, so I'm continually impressed about all the programming that is being offered in all parts of Menlo Park, especially since I'm in Bellhaven. All of the puppet shows, things in the library, and as a former library commission too, just library events as well. As it's nice to see the variety of programming offered, and it's nice to see that people are coming out and reading those newsletters and attending them, and just continuing excited for the new building to be in the MPCC, to see what else will be brought out.
I can share too. I'm also in Bellhaven, and I like walk and run by the Bellhaven Elementary School frequently, and that green space, their field has been like open up, I think, since the summer. And I see people out there every once in a while. I've seen like families out using the baseball field, and like families walking around kind of the paved track on the outside. And recently I noticed that there's like a new sign explaining when it's open. And I appreciated seeing that, because I think hopefully that will get some more people utilizing the space now that it's really well labeled. So that's great.
Thank you so much. And I want to give a big thank you to the team here. I know that there are many community members enjoying some softball playtime this evening. So kudos to the department, and thank you very much for making some people exercised and happy. It's really appreciated. Well, without further ado, it is 8:03 and the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.